winner in all of this. So for the past 8 years, I have served as your master judge. And in that time, I have dealt with pretty much every situation that one can think of, from first-degree murder to possession of meth, heroin, fentanyl, domestic violence cases, and even DUIs, and everything in between. And in those difficult situations, I've relied upon key principles to help guide me through my career. And it's these principles that I believe that are essential for our next clerk of Superior Court, and they are as follows. First, we must uphold God. God is the foundation for everything that I do. So after a crazy night or a hectic week, I pray and I give those difficult situations to God. Second, we must maintain the rule of law while preserving our Constitution. Now, as a judicial official, I have to walk a fine line to balance these two principles. But we see what happens when one goes without the other. Just look at cities such as Seattle, Portland, Chicago, Minneapolis, even as close as Atlanta and Asheville, where chaos can be in the streets and law enforcement is leaving every day. Third, we must protect our most vulnerable, and that includes our children, our elderly, and victims of domestic violence. And finally, we must support our local law enforcement, because there's absolutely no reason why somebody who goes out there every day and protects you and protects me should have to worry if there'll be enough money at the end of the pay period to pay their mortgage, or if there's enough money to buy groceries for their family. So these are the principles that I have set forth to help guide me through my career, and that I believe are essential for our next clerk of Superior Court. So with all that being said, why am I the best candidate for this position? To fully understand the answer to that question, you, the voters, must fully understand what you are voting for. According to the general statutes of North Carolina, the clerk of Superior Court is the ex officio judge in probate. That's right, you are voting for a judge here in March. And this judge has jurisdiction to hear and adjudicate cases such as wills and estates, incompetency in guardianships, adoptions, and foreclosures. And if you look at the card that I provided here today on the back, you will see that I'm already certified in those particular areas of the law. I also hold 26 other North Carolina judiciary certifications. So when you couple my certifications with the principles that I have set forth, and I believe there are 3 final qualities that our next clerk should have. And that is experience, fairness, and dedication to serve. As for experience, like I said, I already have 8 years of experience serving from the bench alongside our brave men and women of law enforcement dealing with the issues that have come here to Macon County. Also in that time, I have heard and adjudicated over 400 civil cases. And this is where the fairness comes in, because whether it was a case presented by an attorney or just by an everyday civilian, I maintained a high standard for myself to be knowledgeable of the law and to apply the law fairly and impartially to all individuals. And lastly, my dedication to serving the citizens of Macon County has been unwavering. I have put the needs of this community before my very own, and when elected your next clerk of Superior Court, I will gladly continue to do so. So, with all that being said, it's a circumstance, that I'm proud to be, a Maconian. I'm proud of the work that I've done. I'm proud to work alongside our brave men and women of law enforcement. And when elected your next clerk of Superior Court, I will gladly put the needs before my very own. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stamey, and I'm ready to be your next clerk of Superior Court. Now, if anyone has any questions, I'll open the floor up to it right now.
Do you want to handle it?
Nothing?
Does anybody have any questions for me?
Jamie, I guess I got to ask a question. What is the most daily duties of the clerk of the court?
Well, like I said, the clerk's first task is to be that judge of probate. There are other tasks along with it. For example, they handle all the filings that the clerk has. They also do jury duty, so I know everybody hates getting that letter in the mail to show up. That is one of the tasks as well. There's a lot of tasks that the clerk's manual lays out, but their first priority is to hear and adjudicate those cases. And if I know y'all haven't seen the calendar for our current clerk, it is full every day. So that's why we need to have a judicial official in that position that can handle that caseload and can bring conservative values into that office. Yes, ma'am.
Do you also, for the adoption proceedings, do you terminate the parental rights as well?
That would go before a district court judge.
Okay.
And those TPR cases are handled in the district court.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just where you're originally from.
I'm a Maconian true and true. And we have 7 generations of Stameys from my last county here in Macon County alone. So, yeah, tried and true Maconian.
Which side of town, though, Justin? That makes me
South Sabino, Stamey Mountain. Anything else? Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time here today. Thank you, Young Professionals and Franklin Dereck Brewery for having me today.
All right, and without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dereck Jones, a candidate for sheriff.
I'll be the one to fall over this. And I'll be honest, can everybody hear me without this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
High five. There we go, high five. My name is Dereck Jones, and I'm running to be the next sheriff of Macon County. First and foremost, and I'm going to do the very same thing that Justin did, and that's thank my wife. There's a lot of long nights that go into us being out and putting up signs, and her having to listen to me being on the telephone, and people calling, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you become the next sheriff? Not only that, I currently run the Macon County Detention Center. So I've got people calling me all the time saying, hey, this is going on, what do we need to do about this? And so there's a lot of long nights that we sit down to watch a movie, and when we sit down to dedicate it, we'll get halfway through the movie, 3/4 of the way through the movie, and then bam, everything breaks loose. So I can't thank her enough. When I tell you that we come from a full-blown public servant household, she's a public health nurse. So over the last few years, we've been combating the COVID issue. Now we're in flu season, still with COVID, and day in and day out, the blessing that I have in addition to that is we get to work next door to one another, and we enjoy lunch every day. So I get to spend that time when we're on our different paths of the evening, whether it's during lunchtime or what have you, we take that time, because first and foremost, family is the most important thing to you, next to God. I've been blessed over the last nearly 17 years, and I'm blessed in the fact that I've got Blake who came in here with me today, and who gave me one stellar endorsement here recently. And it means so much to me in the fact that I saw him from the day he walked in as a cadet into what he stands for and is still continuing to do today. I started 17 years ago, just as he did. I came out of rookie school. I went to the Highlands Police Department. I worked with the Highlands Police Department for a short period of time, and I wanted to work for the county. The county, 519 square miles in Macon, a lot of land to cover. As a young guy, you want to stay busy. Through the years, I promoted through the ranks. Shortly thereafter, I started in the detention center. I worked my way up to a field training officer portman. I had the opportunity from Sheriff Holland to sit down and orchestrate the first ever field training program. Blake, throughout the years himself, has also went through and revamped that and brought it to what it is today, and he is currently our training officer. Blake is constantly working and expanding upon ways that we better equip our officers for the future. And I'm big upon that. I still currently instruct at Southwestern Community College in basic law enforcement, National Park Service, as well as yearly in-state in-service. I also teach the general instructor training. I teach instructors to be instructors. After I went to instructor school, right around the same time I was promoted to sergeant. I had my child who's 13 years of age now. I was on the SWAT team, the Special Response Team, from 2006 to 2011. In 2012, I went back to school. I completed my Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice. I graduated magna cum laude while taking care of a 4-year-old, working a full-time job, night shift as a patrol sergeant, and working part-time at the community college. I'm a big advocate for education, and I'll go into that later. Shortly thereafter, we had an opening in juvenile investigations. Nobody wanted to work that. Okay, during that time, I started planning for the future. When you're thinking about running for something of this magnitude, you can't plan and decide you're going to run today for tomorrow. So for at least the last 10 to 12 years, when I moved into juvenile investigations, I told Sheriff Holland, I want to learn every facet of that agency. I don't want to be stagnant. So I moved into juvenile investigations and worked the worst of the worst. When you're dealing with seeing individuals take advantage of small kids, it's absolutely absurd. It's the most heinous crime that you'll ever have to deal with. I worked juvenile investigations for about a year and a half. I moved over to work criminal investigations, break-ins, murders, assaults, drug investigations, you name it. The last year prior to being promoted to lieutenant as your current jail administrator, I worked drug sting operations, wiretapping, federal cases with the DEA, the SBI. I've worked closely with Homeland Security over the years. As a matter of fact, he is a TFO, task force officer, still with the Homeland Security. So throughout the years, I've built these partnerships amongst major agencies to fight the drug problem, because we have a drug problem here. We've got a drug problem. Jackson County's got a drug problem. Swain County. Most of these individuals, and he just came out of narcotics, he will tell you the same thing. It's cross-jurisdictional suspects. We're buying and selling dope from these same people that are in Jackson County, that's in Raven County, that's in Buncombe County. The same people are coming through here through this major thoroughfare 441, and we've got to expand upon it to put a stop to it. Because it's a poison that is absolutely destroying our community. It's destroying our young kids. And dealing with community partnerships, we need to get to those kids at a young age. Throughout our travels, my wife always tells me, why are you looking into this? Honey, it'll take just a minute. Summer youth camps. We've been all over the state of Florida. My wife's from Florida. Half of our family still lives in Florida. Why can't we as a law enforcement agency build these partnerships with kids, much like Summer Adventure Camp and Summer Day Camp, what the county offered over the years when we were growing up? Be the role models that we set out to be. So major change needs to occur. We've got to build upon these partnerships. We're already doing things and have been for years with doing force-on-force training, teaching concealed carry classes, helping people understand how to better equip themselves in a heinous type situation when the lights are out and somebody's breaking through your front door. We're going to continue to expand upon that if I'm elected sheriff. We've been doing it. Currently as your jail administrator, I've been a good steward of the taxpayer dollar. In just the last 3 years alone, something I'm very passionate about is mental health and substance abuse reform. Over the last 3 years, we've added upon mental health issues within the detention facility for pennies on the dollar. We have a full-time substance abuse and mental health counselor. We've partnered with No Wrong Door, which I sit on the board as the vice president of that organization. I sit on the mental health task force. I sit on the substance abuse task force. I've been doing these things for years. It's not something I started yesterday. It's something I started back in 2005 when I became a deputy sheriff. I helped initiate the Autism Awareness Program. I helped initiate the Project Lifesaver Program. I still oversee the Law Enforcement Support Services Program, where we receive free property from the federal government when they bring it back from overseas at no cost to you, the county taxpayer. We've received over $1 million worth of this free equipment, again, at no cost to you. We've partnered with the Governor's Highway Safety Program throughout the years. Then Lieutenant Ken Lane, who is now our Chief Deputy, he and I were talking again today. Just in that program alone, we're pushing between $250,000 to $350,000 of free equipment, personnel we've garnered over the years, and that just keeps growing. So we can't afford to go 20 years in retrospect based on what we're dealing with, and we got an upcoming election. Sheriff Holland has paved the way. We've got to expand upon what he's done in the last 20 years. And that brings me to the three things that's very important to me. That's education, experience, and leadership. Okay, I've continued, even through the North Carolina Justice Academy and the North Carolina Department of Justice. I completed a criminal investigation certificate program while I was in investigations to better equip me to investigate the crimes that I was being dealt with. Again, I told you that I graduated from Western Carolina University. In North Carolina, all it takes to be a law enforcement officer is a GED and basic law enforcement training. But I feel that I've got to be willing to educate myself before I can educate others. Secondly, I talked to you about experience. I'm the only candidate you're going to hear from that has worked in every facet of law enforcement within the agency in which I am seeking office. I've worked in every single division. I'm the only individual that has maintained a budget from anywhere from $2.5 to $3 million. My budget is nearly half of the overall sheriff's office budget. During that time, I found ways to even We've completely streamlined our medical. I have a full-time nurse on staff now, as well as a doctor. I don't subcontract anything else out. We could have went with a program for $275,000. I'm paying our doctor and our nurse around $100,000, and that's a full-blown medical doctor with a full-blown registered nurse. We have found ways to better equip the inmates. Not only I mentioned mental health and substance abuse. I just added another faith-based ministry program within the detention center. Individual comes in, he brings a message to our inmates. We've supplied nearly 60 Bibles to our inmates. And he plays Johnny Cash music with them with his banjo or guitar. It's a blessing to walk in and see standing room only in the utility room on Tuesday nights. It means something to you. But guys and gals, I'm telling you right now, March the 8th, 2022, probably the most important election is going to be on the ballot. That's the next sheriff's race. And for the livelihood of our kids, for the livelihood of Macon County, I respectfully ask for your vote on March the 8th of 2022 to be the next sheriff of Macon County. And I can promise you, from the first day I started back in 2005 until the day I leave office, I will give you everything I got and then some. Because I've had the opportunity to leave 3 times and I've turned it down. I've turned it down because this is my home. You guys are my family. And these guys right here that stand by me along the way, every single day, you can't replace these guys, and they mean the world to me. So, guys and gals, if there's any questions, the floor is open to you.
What's the biggest problem facing the sheriff's department right now?
The biggest problem facing the sheriff's office right now is probably hiring. And it's not the fact that we're having a problem hiring people. I'll just be straight up honest with you. Across the country, you can read about how law enforcement, people are not diving into law enforcement like they did back in the 70s and 80s. You watch the old shows in the LAPD, and I feel for those guys out in Los Angeles. I mean, they've got it rough. Our guys have got it rough here, but nothing compared to what these larger cities are facing. Asheville is another major example, especially in our backyard. And we're hammering down. We actually went out to a job fair last Thursday, I believe it was. I was there. I was able to garner 7 applications. Hopefully we're on the up and up. We've been able to start filling positions, but it's a hard thing to do when you don't have the applicant pool there. And it's not because law enforcement's a bad profession. It's just that right now is a hard profession to go into because we're under scrutiny, guys. I mean, it is what it is. And just like any other profession, I mean, you'll find people that have issues in the banking world just like you will in law enforcement. I know EMS is down. EMS is trying to hire. And so.
Dereck, I've known you for a while, you know me. One of my biggest things is the drugs that are coming in and making guys.
Absolutely.
A lot of people in the room had kids, younger kids and so forth. And unfortunately, we see more often than not people with the like values that we have, and the kids are still getting on drugs. How can we as small business owners, how can you be a sheriff, how can we work together to help each other?
I tell you, and I mentioned community partnership in a vague manner. Community partnership is big. Everybody has a vested interest, and that's the best way. How can we help? How can the sheriff's office utilize you and insurance and the people that you make contact with, just like what we're here doing tonight? Yes, it was a dating game type scenario, but at the same time, what can we do? What do you like that you hear from me? What ideas can you bring to the table? Because it's a collaborative effort. And it's much like the same as I've preached for the last several months. What can we do to offer help to the Franklin Police Department, Highlands Police Department, and in return the same way? And I want to sit down and have these meetings, and you can check all this out on my website under community partnerships. I want to sit down in the communities. I was over crime prevention techniques and a community watch program, and I went out to 14, 15 different areas in the county and talked to people. And I want to sit down, like you state there, business owners, sit down and talk with us, with a representative from the sheriff's office, and what can we do to reach these kids? Can we do it through after-school programs, mentor programs? Can we do it through luncheons, whatever it may be? All ideas on the table, because when we do nothing, we see what's happening. So I hope that answers your question, because we need to hammer down, we need to come together, because everybody in this room has a vested interest. Whether it's you, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, it's everybody. Yes, sir.
I have two questions actually. Number one, you mentioned continuing education, which I love that you said that. Do you plan on having your department, are you going to offer a continuing education to your deputies and the people you employ, or as kind of an incentive, I guess? Is that something that you guys are going to offer to all the policemen and women of the force, or is that something that they're going to have to go find themselves? And
No, I've been blessed throughout the years, and Sergeant McCann will tell you the same thing. The day that when I started, if I was on patrol, I actively sought out classes that would better enhance me to serve the community. Whether it was field sobriety training, whether it was DWI detection, etc. All the deputies have to do is they find that training, whether it's offered through the North Carolina Justice Academy, Southwestern Community College, and we're blessed to have the training center right at our back door. Blake currently serves as the in-service training coordinator on the side as well. So with having these connections and it readily available, it costs us nothing other than the gas to get there. The deputies are paid while they go through these trainings, and it's open to any and all deputies that wish to better themselves. We're mandated by law to do at least 24 hours of in-service training every year. Okay, we go above and beyond that. We go above and beyond that in firearms. We're looking to expand on several different other areas that he and I and other individuals have been discussing and have discussed over the years. And so, absolutely, we're going to keep training, and because things change, we've got to change with the times.
Yes, sir.
I like some of your comments about in the jail with some of the programs you got. The mental health stuff is a big deal, because I kind of have a soft spot for that because I see it. But my question really is around the homeless population in our county, and particularly in the places that we go in public, like the Greenway. We've got a Rotary shelter down there that we got some folks living there. We're getting ready to do some major renovations to it. How do you see that? There's a balance between being humanitarian to the folks that are down and out, but we know that's a lot of mental health, there's a lot of drug issues. How bad a problem do we have? How worried should we be about some of the folks we see or not? And what kind of programs do we have that deals with that population?
Over the last few years, we've seen it hit home hard with the homelessness issue. And I was asked that question 3 or 4 times, and town government, county government, we're all going to have to come together and find a way to assist. A part of your question there, you're asking what kind of programs are already out there in place. And I know that with No Wrong Door is stepped in, and I know that firsthand because some individuals that have left the detention facility, we've worked with them on referral services, assessments, trying to assist them. NC Works for a while before COVID hit, I coordinated with them and was trying to help with resume building with inmates to get them jobs. I know for a fact that 3 inmates that left my facility, we got them a job making $13, $15, and $16 an hour. Those 3 inmates haven't been back. They are still currently employed with the same individuals they were hired by. I think that as a community, we're going to have to come together, not just government, but all these other organizations.
Are they committing bad crimes, or is it the break-ins and the drug-related offenses? And just as citizens, do we need to be particularly worried, or more, they're down and out? And where does that fall in what you see?
To give you a 100% answer, I would be lying to you.
Yeah.
Because I can't. Nobody can dictate what this individual, if he's got, say, an alcohol problem, or they've got a drug problem, what they're going to do to get their fix. We've seen, trespass has been one of the biggest things, and the magistrate will tell you. Going back onto properties, whether they're intoxicated and disruptive, they're traveling back across properties they've been banned from, and they get out of jail today, serve a 15-day sentence, and turn right around and go right back to the same place and do it right all over again. You know, to say that I could tell you that there's been 25 break-ins or 10 drug busts, I can't tell you that, because, you know, it's one of those things that you see so many people come back, but most of the time we are seeing intoxicated disruptives and the trespassings.
Yeah. Well, that's better than assaults and murders and,
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think, again, it's something that, you know, we need to come back to the drawing board. No Wrong Door wasn't brought about overnight. I mean, No Wrong Door came about, we met for a year or so, and the first thing we hit after that was we went immediately to the detention facility. And they've been a blessing to us, and it's been a blessing to me to be able to work with those guys and connect with Apple, iTunes, and everyone else. But they offer so many possibilities, even beyond the detention facility, that we could go on for days. Mr. Unger, I thought you were scratching your nose.
I'm scratching my nose, don't worry.
Anybody else got any questions for Dereck?
I just want to supplement for your question. These individuals that are homeless, they've been offered opportunity after opportunity after opportunity for help, relocation. They enjoy it, and that's the best way to put it. And it's a tough realization, because I'll sit there and talk with them whenever they bring them in for those second-degree trespassing or they're drunk and disruptive, and I'll ask them. Of course, they don't have to say anything if they don't want to, but a lot of them do. They love being on the streets. Why? They can't give you they love it. And it's a tough realization every day, because it's a growing population. I think right now the numbers are around 50 to 65 individuals. It's hard to get an accurate number, but it's around 50 to 65 individuals. And it's a circumstance where it's district-wide. This is not just a Macon County issue. It's across the entire western North Carolina. And so, like I said, we're going to have to get creative to find solutions to work with these individuals at the end of the day. Because like I said, you have to change their mindset to get results.
it's tough.
Yeah.
But guys and gals, I want to tell you this, please take a RAT card with you. You can scan the QR code on the front, type in jonesforsheriff.com. It'll take you right to my website. You can read about my family, my background, what I've done in patrol investigations, etc., what my platforms are on community partnerships. You can read about what we've done within the facility. Please don't hesitate to contact me. The email's on there as well as Dereck@jonesforsheriff.com and .org. And I'm an open door. You come by, you talk to me at the office. I oversee the entire facility, the highest liability department under that sheriff's office umbrella. And I've been blessed with the people that work for me, work with. And guys, I hope to carry this on. And again, I would appreciate your vote. Help March the 8th. If there's anything I can do for you in the meantime, please reach out to me.
Well, this concludes our session today. So I would encourage everybody to mingle, have conversations. I just want to say thank you again for everybody coming out on this rainy afternoon. And if you have your business cards, go ahead and hand them. Is there anything else that we need to cover? And again, see the Rotary table out front. Have a conversation. Can we get all the Rotarians to raise their hands again? So if you want to have a conversation with one of those people, great organization. But that's it. Thanks you guys for coming.
I guess I should say, if you don't just sign in, if you have to sign in.
And please sign in if you haven't signed in. Thank you guys.